Since we are definitely in the digital age and you guys will be communicating with me only virtually for the first quarter at least, it's really important that we use etiquette in our email communications or written communications or when we're speaking, because when we're not face to face with people, we tend to be more rude because we don't have the immediacy of being right face to face with them where we can see them and be physically near. You might not even be able to see their facial reaction to what you say. So it's even more important to be nicer and more polite virtually than it is directly in person. So today I'm going to teach you some tips on how you can do that digitally and how you can be clear, because it's so easy to have a miscommunication on email because you can't hear the tone of their voice, and someone might write in all caps because they're screaming, or another person might write in all caps to emphasize something. You just don't know necessarily. So, today you'll be able to explain why it's important to be polite, and you'll be able to use this knowledge to politely email teachers and others, because you will be needing to email your teachers, especially this first quarter. In the body of your email, you want to introduce yourself. I always recommend being overly formal. Uh, that's just how I am. Some people think I come across as cold in my emails because I'm so formal. So if you ever think I'm being cold or distant, I don't mean to be. I just want to show you that I'm respecting you. So that's what I'm doing. So I would say, Dear so and so. So with me, you're going to say, Dear Mrs. Stevens. And then if I respond by signing with my first name, then you can call me by my first name. Okay? But just as similarly, if you sign your name, your first and last name, I'll say, Dear your first and last name, or if you want me to use Mr., Ms., or Mrs. with you, I'll be more than happy to do that. Anyhow, um, before you say anything, I would introduce yourself and wish them a good day. So if your email address does not have your name, your teacher has no idea who you are, and we might be teaching multiple grade levels. So I would say, Hi, this is Fitzwilliam Darcy from your dual enrollment English class, okay? Just so they know. And then you can say, I hope you're having a good day. I hope your family is well. I hope you're making good food, or your yarn is beautiful, something, okay? Just one sentence, that's okay. And then you can say why you're emailing them, okay? You can also briefly state this in the subject line. Never leave a subject line blank. I had professors at the University of Arizona who would just delete emails if there wasn't a subject line. So even if it's just hi, that's fine. If it's a grade question, just write grade. Or an assignment question, write the name of the assignment. Don't leave it blank. I won't delete your emails, but it's still a nice thing to do. So I kind of know what you're about and what you need. Once you're done talking about what you need or thanking a teacher, that's always very nice. That's how you want to end. Thank you for your time and consideration, or thank you for your help, or I appreciate your time. And then you can sign sincerely, thank you, best, yours, whatever. Add a space before your name. So then you can sign like Fitzwilliam Darcy, and then underneath your name, you might want to type your email address again, because even though we have access to that, some older teachers might not know how to click reply. I doubt that right now, but at least the first time it's nice to just type your email address again. And you can also include a signature. If you use a Gmail account, it's under settings, and then you'll always be formal because it will always have your name. And that's what I do with Microsoft Office or Microsoft Outlook, is I have a signature. So I never have to sign my name. So with you guys, I don't. With your parents, I go ahead and put my first name down because I'm a little bit more informal with your parents because we're on the same level, and you guys and I are not. Sorry. When you're a teacher, once you turn 18, then we'll be on the same level. Okay. Salutations means greetings, and then closings and signature blocks. So this is kind of more elaboration on the previous slide. So if the email is functioning as a traditional letter, use the standard Dear so-and-so, sincerely best. If you're sending an email to people inside your organization, so here at Coco or in your business, you can say Dear and the person's first name. So that's usually going to be the case here unless you're emailing your teachers, because I don't think there's any teacher who is okay with you calling them by your first name right now. If the email is like a personal note to a friend or close colleague, you can say hi or hey and use their first name and say take care or best. Now, if you're emailing someone outside of the United States, I would recommend researching their culture a little bit because formalities differ. Some people think that being informal is rude or being too formal is rude. So you want to double check that you are being polite according to those cultural standards. Okay. Signature blocks, use 60 characters or fewer to avoid line wraps on mobile devices. Test it in a plain text email. Use white space. I would avoid using quotes, proverbs, or sayings because that's not always the most professional. So that's what I would do. Okay, Kairos, the right opportune moment. Ever since going virtual, teachers have gotten a ton of emails. I've gotten upwards of 50 to 100 emails in one day. And if it takes me 2 minutes to read an email and 2 minutes to respond, it could take me hours to answer all of those emails. And then when you're getting that many emails in a row, sometimes you might overlook one. And that has happened to all of us, whether we are remote or whether we are in person. So sometimes you need to know from your teacher, did you get my email? I need a response. When is it appropriate to ask that? I would say, my rule of thumb is I respond to emails within 24 hours, excluding weekends, because I like to imagine I have a life. So if you don't hear from me within 24 hours, I would go ahead and send me an email reminder. Other teachers take 2 or 3 days or even up to a week to respond to an email. So you just have to know the teacher and know how quickly they respond. If you need a response before the end of the week, you need to email them 2 weeks before the due date. So this comes into consideration with letters of recommendation. If it's due in a month, you need to give your teacher a full month to write that letter of recommendation and get it submitted. Okay, because we have a lot of things on our plates. And please write a thank you email or a thank you note at the end because, it's just a nice thing to do. We're not getting paid technically to write you letters of recommendation. Okay? And I do want to write you letters of recommendations for jobs or for college. English teachers tend to get to know their students better than other teachers. Of course, I'm biased, and I get to see how you write and see your thoughts. So I'd be a good person to write a letter of recommendation for you. And then if it's 2 weeks before the due date for the letter of rec, please email a reminder or come see me in person because no one wants to miss the due date. Don't think we haven't submitted it because we don't care. It might be that we're really busy, that we have a lot of letters, or that we're behind, or that we've gotten sick, or have family things to take care of. Sometimes we forget. So if it's 2 weeks before the due date, please let us know. Okay? If you can't meet an assignment deadline in my class, then you need to ask for the extension 24 hours before the due date. If you need an extension and it's like 2 hours before the due date, you're not going to get the extension. Okay? If you ask for an extension, I will give it to you, no matter what. Okay? But it has to be at least 24 hours before the due date. Okay? Also, if you've sent teachers an email and it's after 3 p.m., don't expect us to respond that day. I know we're all used to instant gratification and getting emails back within, or text messages back within seconds or minutes, but that's not going to happen with teachers. We work around the clock. We work on weekends. Sometimes we need to take a break from the screen. It's not healthy to be in front of a computer screen all day long, even though we're all doing that right now. So I do check my emails usually until 9 p.m., but that might not always be the case because I would like to have a life or imagine that I have one. So if it's after 3 p.m., just wait until the next day. Another thing that gets on teachers' nerves is asking when an assignment will be graded if you submitted it late. If you ask that after you submit an assignment late, your teacher will probably put it on the bottom of the pile. If it wasn't important for you to submit the assignment on time, it's not important for the teacher to grade it immediately. We have lots of assignments to grade, and especially since we're virtual and I'm doing a flipped classroom with you guys, there's a lot of little assignments that I have to grade. So it's going to take time. However, there is a school policy that all assignments need to be graded within 2 weeks of receiving them and input into the gradebook. I try to do it within 1 week, just so you know, because I want you guys to have timely feedback. But life gets in the way sometimes, and I might not always make it. Why should we polite? Why should we be polite? What is this, the medieval ages? Yeah, you know me, corny. Normally, I would have you guys brainstorm a list of why etiquette and being polite is important, but we're virtual right now. So, normally in years past, my students have done an excellent job of filling this slide out. But since we're doing a video, here are the reasons I have. If you would like to comment below with additional reasons, I would love that. In fact, with your Gmail account, you can comment on YouTube, which is great. So being polite helps you network. I read Hillbilly Elegy this summer, and he writes about how networking is so important. Yes, you do need to have brains, but knowing people really helps you get into careers and fields that you want. So if you're polite, more people are likely to go out on a limb for you, which leads to number 2, you get what you want. If you want an extension and you're polite, teachers will probably give you an extension. If you want to go to a party, your parents will probably let you go if you've been nice to them recently. Okay? People want to help others when they're treated respectfully. And just because you think you're the most important person in the world doesn't mean you are. But if you're polite, people may think that you're more important than you are. Okay? It also makes you feel good. So it's nothing altruistic. Altruism means that you do something just because it's the right thing to do and you don't get anything out of it. But most people, when they do a good deed, feel something good. And so it's not truly altruistic if you want to get into philosophy, which why not? What else are we going to do right now? Being polite also helps to develop a world where we all want to live. That's one of the reasons I became a teacher. I wanted to help shape the future, and I think, as old-fashioned as it sounds, I think being polite is a nice way to live, and I wouldn't mind bringing back Emily Post, who wrote the book on etiquette. And so I would like us to say please and thank you and pardon me. Just, I don't know, it's just nicer. It sets a good example for those around us, and it strengthens interpersonal relationships, which means your friendships. So those are all reasons to be polite and to communicate effectively. So if you have any questions or concerns, please send me an email.